now and then, a company will report a quarter that's so incredible, so stupendous, that it totally transforms our understanding of an entire industry. And that's what happened with a company called Qorvo last week, when it blew through Wall Street's expectations with a truly stunning report card, one that I expected to get maybe a year from now, and I got it now. For those of you who don't remember, Qorvo is a radio frequency chip maker, RF, that supplies components for cell phones and communications infrastructure. They have massive exposure to both smartphones and the rollout of next generation 5G wireless networks that will be almost as fast as broadband, and certainly the biggest evolution, I'm calling it revolution, in tech, maybe even in our lifetimes. So when Qorvo shot the lights out, and this quarter was so good it sent the stock soaring 20% on Friday, it breathed new life into the entire 5G thesis. New life that was the tip-off to a whole bunch of big moves, including that of Qualcomm, which gave you a similarly positive number last night, when it too said 5G is here. Finally here. And it's making everyone in the business a lot more money than they expected. This 5G stuff has been a game changer, which is fantastic because the game really needed to be changed. See, Qorvo had a roller coaster of a year. After climbing to the mid-70s in May, the stock ran headfirst into a brick wall as the trade tensions flared with China. When President Trump blacklisted Huawei, the gigantic Chinese smartphone and telco equipment maker, well, he banned American companies from selling them technology. Companies like Qorvo, which gets more than half of its sales from China. Huawei is one of their largest customers. It accounted for something like 22% of sales before the blacklist. So Qorvo had to cut its full-year forecast. People hated that. Over the week after the ban, the stock plummeted from $73 to $60. Oh, boy, that's where it bottomed. This was the primary epicenter negative stock that got hit off of the problems with Huawei. Now, in July, Huawei's ban was partially lifted. And with that out of the way, I told you the Qorvo was worth buying as a play on the rapidly growing 5G build-out that I just mentioned. The company makes chips that allow phones to harness the power of faster 5G networks, and they're also used in the infrastructure that supports those networks. But because I was still worried about the trade war, I wanted to stay a little bit cautious. So while I recommended Qorvo, I also said that Skyworks was my number one pick. That was the one I said would be top dog. Since then, both stocks have been terrific performers, but I can tell you, in candor, I got the order backward. What I should have said was Qorvo was better than Skyworks, and Liam Griffin's doing a terrific job at Skyworks, but Qorvo's been really unbelievable. And, well, I'm not beating myself up. I should have said that Qualcomm was going to be amazing, too. But I keyed on this one, and that's not so, this isn't shabby, right? Even before Qorvo reported last week, things were really picking up. Qorvo gets around 30% of its sales from Apple. And out of nowhere, the new iPhone 11, this has turned out to be a gigantic winner. And that's been a huge surprise in itself, unless you watched our show, because I've been gushing about that. And I like the three things. This is really good. Ever since I laid eyes on it when I got to be at the opening at the new New York store. But there's still some skepticism about the 5G rollout. Would the trade war with China slow it down? And, of course, the trade war is on again, off again, even intra-hour. Well, when Qorvo reported last week, they set the record straight. The company delivered a monster 22-cent earnings beat off of a $1.30 basis with much higher than expected sales. Guys, this is like a takeover bid. That's like catching a takeover bid. What's driving the strength? Qorvo's mobile products division, smartphones, was on fire with Apple, Huawei, and Samsung, the three largest phone makers, all buying components like crazy. On the infrastructure side, the business people were worried about things also are also looking very, very good. That was a primary concern of analysts. Well, that was wrong. Even better, management's forecast for the next quarter was downright spectacular. Wall Street was only expecting $761 million in sales. Qorvo said it's more like $840, $860 million. They were giddy on the call. The analysts wanted $1.35 of earnings per share. Qorvo's predicting $1.67. Those are ridiculously great numbers, people. And it didn't hurt that they announced a $1 billion buyback, which is pretty huge when you consider that Qorvo was really only a $9.5 billion company last week, although, of course, now it's $11.8 billion. And that means the buyback could still devour 8.5% of the share count. Now, Qorvo's picking up smartphone business in Korea and China, along with wireless infrastructure design wins and some defense contracts from amplifiers for this thing called gallium nitride, which consumes much less power, lasts longer, and processes more data than other materials. They're the number one maker of these gallium nitride components. Really, though, the key driver here is 5G. Just listen to what CEO Bob Brugworth, and that, it doesn't look like Brugworth, it's B-R-U-G-G-E-W-O-R-T-H, but it goes by Brugworth. Here's what he told us. He said, quote, "We are especially pleased with 5G design activity and the trends we see towards increasing RF integration," end quote. Then CFO Mark Murphy, smart fellow, explained that, quote, "Our December guidance reflects continued robust mobile demand supported by an increase in 5G handset volumes," end quote. In other words, people are upgrading their phones to take advantage of the 5G rollout, even though it's still in its early stages. This is happening way faster than people realize, and it's not just components for smartphones. It's also wireless infrastructure. Brugworth pointed out, and I quote, "In infrastructure, the ramp of 5G appears to be rolling out faster than the ramp of 4G," end quote. That's got huge implications for the whole 5G cohort. Plus, Qorvo's gallium nitride technologies, quote, "is increasingly the technology of choice," end quote. They're securing massive design wins with this stuff. Things are going so well for this company. I'm glad. Good guys win. Brugworth's always been a nice man. He's been a terrific guy. But it's been kind of until now. Going forward, management's predicting a continued increase in 5G handset volumes, infrastructure business picking up substantially versus the quarter they just reported. Hey, both of Qorvo's defense budget and the 5G build-out are doing well. As for the Chinese business, okay, now this is tougher. See, they called out China as a particular source of strength. As the Chinese roll out their own 5G network, and yes, they are ahead of us, they're packing new phones with not just 5G technology, but also fully integrated 4G technology. So they'll work on older networks, too. That means Qorvo has more radio frequency chips in each phone. On top of that, Brugworth believes that they're taking market share from the competition that's actually in China. Put it all together, it turns out that Qorvo really needed its 5G investments. They moved into making components that are finally in high demand, and that move is paying off big time. Best of all, we're still in the early stages. This is what's so great. This is why I'm still focused on it. A lot of people say, "Jim, you're late." I've liked it here, and I still like it. No wonder the stock jumped from 80 to 97 on the quarter and it's kept running. Now it's 101 because we've just gotten more and more people converted to the bullish camp. If we get any kind of final resolution of the trade war, some analysts believe that this could be worth $500 million in sales to Qorvo next year. That's $1 per share in earnings. Even up here, the stock sells for just 15.5 times next year's earnings estimates, and I think you could have a lot more upside. You can put on a small position here, though really, I wanted for a pullback, but I know you're probably itching after 5 weeks of up, saying, "Cramer, where's that darn pullback?" That's why I've said you can buy some. Who else benefits? As I mentioned, Qualcomm, the gigantic communications chip maker, where the stock that is a key component of the 5G revolution does benefit. On the fantastic earnings call last night, CEO Steve Mollenkopf described 5G as a, quote, "the single biggest opportunity in Qualcomm's history." End quote. That is not hyperbole. And by the way, Mollenkopf is a very understated fellow. Just like Qorvo, Qualcomm is still far from expensive at more than 15 times earnings, even though the stock was up 6% today. Again, more room to run. Oh, and next Tuesday, we hear from Skyworks Solutions, another radio frequency semiconductor play like Qorvo. I've been pounding the table on this one for months, and I expect good things. This is a 5G play, and they've got a ton of business in the companies. Remember, it's like the Fight Club you came in. Gap says CEO Art Peck will step down. Yeah, got that. See, I get the bulletins and stuff. I set it up myself. Hey, old dog, new tricks. Anyway, Apple is a major customer. Skyworks sells at less than 16 times earnings, meaning you're not too late. Plenty of room to roll. Last but not least, Broadcom, symbol AVGO, and Marvell, MRVL Tech, don't report until December. But there are two more chip makers who have meaningful 5G exposure. I'm going to hit them many times in the next few months, although Broadcom is much less of a pure play than the others. I like them both, especially Marvell, which we own for my charitable trust, which can follow along our moves by joining the ActionAlertsPlus.com club. Marvell's already surged 7% this week, thanks to a big upgrade from Wells Fargo, but I think it's got much more upside because, as I'll explain in next week's club call, I do a conference call once a month, Marvell is the single most levered stock to 5G, even more than Qorvo, which I used to call Qorvo when it wasn't doing that well. Anyway, bottom line, after selling off over the summer, these 5G stocks, they're back and they're better than ever. Based on what we heard from Qorvo last week, the business is on fire and you don't want to miss it. Good things. Qorvo, Qualcomm, Skyworks, Broadcom, Marvell. I like them all. Robert in California. Robert!
Yes, hey, this is Bob, of course, all the way from downtown L.A. at my favorite cigar shop with law enforcement and my buddies. And my question is, What's going to happen with T-Mobile and the merger with Sprint? How's it going to affect the stocks in both ends?
Look, I'm just going to tell you, I got a simple thing. It's been my way since 60, actually since 55. John Ledger is a great manager. He's a fabulous CEO. You could buy T-Mobile and you're going to win either way. T-Mobile's been the way. I've been behind it all along, and I remain behind it. I need to go to Alex in California. Alex.
From sunny Los Angeles. Booyah, Dr. Cramer.
Excellent weather forecast, and at the same time, an excellent stuttering booyah. What's up?
Jim, my question is about a smaller cap stock. That's a play on fiber optics, 5G, and Internet of Things. Now, I know from watching you daily that you think Marvell is the best 5G play.
Yes!
But I'm looking for a 10-bagger here. So what say you about Infinera Corporation?
I think that it's 10 or nothing. No, I'll tell you, that's too dicey for me. It's too dicey. I got to stick with Marvell. I'm not looking for a new name in the group. I like Marvell. Okay, ain't nothing but a 5G baby. Okay, that's all right. These stories are back, okay? This is the kind of thing you want to own, and I think it's bigger than ever. Okay, much more Mad Money ahead, including my exclusive with the company that has some of the best real estate and a great yield. Can Brixmor help you build some gains and give you some nice income? Then it's a player that works with 9 out of 10 of the largest cloud companies handling your data. So is it time to consider or reconsider investment in CyrusOne now that the stock's been clocked? And get ready for my take on a lot of stocks in the lightning round. So stick with Cramer.
Don't miss a second of Mad Money. Follow @Jim Cramer on Twitter. Have a question? Tweet Cramer. #MadTweets. Send Jim an email to madmoney@cnbc.com or give us a call at 1-800-743-CNBC. Miss something? Head to madmoney.cnbc.com.